Hey everybody, Simeon here. I hope you've had a good week. We returned from Switzerland and we had a great time there. We did some really good work together with the farmer and his family, and it was a lot of fun to see the result. We established a holistic grazing plan and um, did some basic holistic management training before so we could do it. And it was a bit of a rough start because it never works out perfectly. They got one of the coldest and wettest springs in a long time, and on the second day out on pasture, they got a couple inches of rain overnight, and we had to adjust accordingly. Got some good massage on the paddock that they were on, but that's stuff we have to deal with. Okay, so I wanted to talk with you guys today about the topic of what farmers and homesteaders often ignore. And um, I want to talk about it because it's something very important and it's a theme that I see coming up regularly that causes trouble. And just now on my recent visit to our client in Switzerland, that's where we started, and it was so important. After I talked with the farmer about this, he got the whole family together, and I did a session with all of them, and it was just great. So before I get into that topic and share what it is, I want to just real quick introduce myself to those of you who have not watched many of my videos or are wondering who I am. My name is Simeon. I've been a farmer for over 20 years. I attended the Natural Resource Farming School in Sweden some 20 years ago. And since 2011, I have been in regenerative agriculture. My wife and I discovered that and have been experimenting, training, educating ourselves ever since. I am now a holistic management educator and practitioner, and we are we had the last few years we've spent on teaching, mentoring, helping farmers with regenerative agriculture and holistic management. And so what I want to talk about today is something that is very dear to my heart because it changed my wife's and my perspective on a lot of things, and I've seen this happen to a lot of people. So this live stream is always targeted towards farmers and homesteaders. Most of the content, I would say, is relevant to anybody. Just like holistic management is not limited to a farm or livestock, but is so much broader, and anybody can, and in my opinion, should manage holistically, because we all try to manage complexity, and that's what holistic management is all about: managing complexity, managing finances, relationships, culture, and the land, the environment all together, because they all affect each other. But I'm going to address you guys as if you're involved in farming or homesteading. Maybe you want to get there, maybe you're in that already, but whatever I have to say is going to be important. Okay, so maybe you have bought some land already, maybe you're on a homestead, or you're looking into buying some land or leasing some land and starting some kind of operation. And we all have these dreams, these visions, these ideas of what we want to do. We have thoughts of how we want to earn money, how we want to create income. But I take it that every one of you has their reasons for why they want to live this kind of life, because we need to be certain about it. It's more than just a job. It's really a certain kind of life, right? It's a certain way that we can live, the certain way that we raise our children. We want to leave the city and stuff that's going on there. We want to live closer to nature. We want to grow our own food off of the land. We want to have healthier air, all those things, which are great. for my wife and I, it was very important that we could have more control over our time and schedule. Okay, that's part of our description of how we want our life to be. So my question to you then is, how is that going for you? If you are already into farming or homesteading, you can ask yourself that question. If you are planning on getting into it or transitioning into it right now, the question would be, have you defined that clearly for yourself? And so ask yourself this question. And we would refer to something like this as the statement of purpose. Why does this homestead exist? Especially if you're a farm, an organization, something, you're selling something, a business. Why does this business exist? Why does this organization exist? But even if you just want to homestead, it's like, why? What is the purpose of this homestead? And then I recommend to you that you write that down. And also, what kind of life do we want to live? What do we want our lives to be like? What do we want our land to look like? How do we want our lives to be? These are really important things to ask yourself, because whenever you have to make a decision in your life, on your land, a decision that affects maybe your personal finances, or a decision that affects your personal schedule, your relationship, your family, your food, your land, whatever it might be, you can always go back to those things and look at, why did we buy this in the first place? Why did we transition into this lifestyle to begin with? What's the reason behind it? Why does this homestead exist? Why does this farm exist? How do we want our lives to be? And then you can, if you really look at that again and remind yourself of that, you can really look at if the decision you are proposing or thinking of making, if that is really in line with that, right? Because what I've seen so often is that people want to get out of this 9 to 5 grind. They want to have more control over their time, over the schedule, live healthier and all of that. But then they get into something that they have seen on YouTube or read somewhere or experienced somewhere, and it works great for that person where they saw it. But they don't realize how that brings them into some kind of like being enslaved to whatever it might be. Any livestock animal can enslave you time-wise. Any kind of work can do that. A vegetable garden can do that. And you can quickly be doing something that can burn you out, that can keep you away from your family just as much, that can affect you poorly financially. And even if you reach maybe one of your goals, the chances that along the way you sacrifice other things that are dear to you and important to you, for your health, for your family, and so on, that risk is very high. Often we reach some goals at the cost of some other things, right? Maybe we get financially wealthy, but we have sacrificed maybe our health or our family, or we are able to spend more time with the family and have control over our schedule, but it just doesn't work out financially, or whatever. You get the point, right? And I believe that's something that homesteaders and farmers ignore, is that they haven't really pinned down the statement of purpose. Why does this farm exist? Why does this organization exist? Why do we have this homestead? And how do we want our lives to be? The quality of life. How do we want our land to look like, right? Those things are part of the holistic context as we teach it in holistic management. I've just not used those terms right now because I want this to become very practical to you, okay? Because we can use all these terms, holistic context and all that, but I just want you to understand how important this is. Look, if you transition into homesteading and you're debating whether or not you should buy these animals or invest in this or do that or take this measure on your land, if you have written a holistic context, if you have determine why does this farm exist. Always take yourself back to that so that you have the sense of purpose and understanding. Look, we originally bought this homestead, or we originally went into homesteading so that we could live like this and this. And this homestead is here to serve us as a family. We are not supposed to serve the homestead, for example, right? Always take yourself back to that. A lot of things will clear up. And maybe you're finding yourself right now in a time where you're just struggling, right? Maybe the homestead is taking you away if you are a person of faith. And maybe it's taking you away too much from fellowship with other Christians. This is something that can be a big struggle. That's something you need to include in your decision making. Maybe it's just taking up too much of your time, and you do not have time for other things that matter a lot. Maybe you are really tied down, but you love it because you can also work with your family, with your children on the homestead, and that's great. All I'm saying is just focus, take the time, maybe get the first 5 savory ebooks about the holistic management fundamentals, and focus on, you know, who is all involved in decision making and how do we want our life to be. The statement of purpose, describe the land, how you want it to look like, because that helps in decision making too. If you describe your land like a beautiful lush land where water flows clear and there's abundant life and diversity and so on, and then you want to make certain decisions, well, how will that machine, that use of that machine or that tool or whatever it might be, affect that landscape? Does it actually produce that landscape, or does it destroy it and lead away from that? That's the kind of decision making thinking that we use. It's a bit more than that, but it's something that I just want to really recommend to you if you're a farmer, if you're a homesteader, that you think of that. We all have so many ideas. Often we have a lot of visions. Sometimes they can even have been quenched already when we have struggled for many years. What I saw when I went to Switzerland just now, we started with this. We started with the statement of purpose, the quality of life, and so on. We started with the holistic context and a vision and a passion that had been lost in the last year due to sickness, due to being overwhelmed, due to struggles, was all returning when we were focusing on that. This passion came back of why they wanted this in the first place, and what this farm is about. And all of a sudden that could help them in deciding what direction are we taking this farm now? What decisions will we take first? And that is a powerful thing. That's a powerful thing. Some weeks or months ago, I asked a question on the YouTube channel, what is your biggest struggle in farming and homesteading? And part of it was not enough money or not enough time, but it was also, being able to make the right decisions. And this is the thing. Most people answered not having enough money or not having enough time. But in truth, it's what we do with what we have, how we invest that time, how we invest that money. That is the big difference. And if you know what you want, if you know how you want your life to be, how you want your land to look like, if you know why you went into homesteading or farming to begin with, and what the purpose of your homestead is, then it's so much easier to make decisions holistically, incorporating all those thoughts and stay on track. And I just see a lot of people ignoring that. A lot of people think holistic management is just about moving livestock around, that is not an accurate description of what holistic management is. And I just want to encourage you to focus on that, to reach out to somebody who can maybe help you with that. It's really very similar to, on one hand, coaching or branding, but it's so much bigger than that. And it's a beautiful process because it becomes clearer and decision making becomes easier. You'll have tools that assist you to make decisions. And that's really what I wanted to share with you guys today on this quick episode. We're working on editing the footage from Switzerland, and in the next week here, in the upcoming week, we will hopefully air this video and give you some impressions of what we did there, and let you be part of that. Thank you guys. I hope you have a good weekend. I hope you found this helpful. It's maybe not this hands-on farming how-to video that you were hoping for or expecting, but that's why I made this video, because many homesteaders and farmers ignore this, and it just slows you down and can lead you to undesired outcomes. And on the opposite end, if you take care of this, it can speed up your process to reach desired outcomes significantly. Okay, guys, thank you so much. By the way, this is not a green screen behind me. This is the actual place we are at right now for a couple more weeks before we move on to our next stop. And we are going to give you guys an update on my visa as well, on my visa process in a video very soon, because we have some news here. Just don't want to do it on the live stream here. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for everybody in the chat, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.